and welcome to the third program of Ghana Police Watch, now showing on Ghana's television networks. You can watch it on JoyNews on Mondays at 6 p.m, ETV Tuesday at 9 p.m, on GTV on Wednesdays at 4 p.m, and Crystal TV at 7 p.m. On Thursdays, Ghana Police Watch is on GBC 24 at 9 p.m, on Fridays, on Kantanka TV at 8 p.m, and Top TV at 8:30 p.m. On Saturdays, again on Kantanka TV at 2 p.m. On Sundays, UTV at 11 a.m. and JoyNews at 6 p.m. Make a date with Ghana Police Watch television series every day of the week. This evening, we start with a review of 2 trending videos on social media sent to us by our viewers. If authenticated, these videos raise serious concerns about police misconduct. In the first video, a police officer stops a driver who's driving with what appears to be an expired driver's license. Instead of enforcing the law, the police officer appears to ask for a bribe, which he takes eventually. 20 cedis to be precise. We apologize for the poor quality of the video, but we have decided to show it because it is valuable for highlighting the issue of professional conduct which is expected of all police officers.
Put something here. So when this want to expire, they will
put something here. Before this.
Yeah, but I went there for them to upgrade it to C. Then they told me that I can use this one. When that one is ready, then I come for it. That's what they told me.
If this one spy,
they put this one.
If this one spy, this one spy, they put this one.
Yes.
If this one,
that's what they told me.
Put your man together and come and see me in my car and go.
Come. You, we are not even going to withdraw.
Huh?
We are not even going to withdraw. So I don't know if you can give me this. You have to listen. Give it.
Me?
Yes.
Oh
no. Take it. Let me drop in here.
I can't have to go to home.
What's that today? I don't risk car. Oh, Mama, testing me.
Oh, I said, oh, Papa, in J. Chado.
Minim Tete, before to Minim Party. Would they be gas? Minim, we own. Here because I come in like you. But Omina, oh, I buy Jaisa. What's a very white one? No, Jaisa.
One will go in this.
I call me for the other one.
Yeah, and come up. 5 minutes in Gulukum.
Jaisa. Also, Mamma tell one code. Mamma
In a statement, Ghana Police Service has reiterated that it takes a very serious view of police officers taking bribes and engaging in corrupt practices. The right procedure for the officer was to report the offending driver to the police station, take a statement, and process him for court. Offending motorists are also advised not to try and influence police officers by offering bribes. In the eyes of the law, both the taker and giver are guilty. This second video highlights an alleged case of police brutality. A taxi driver parks his car illegally at a bus stop in Adenta, Accra. He is approached by a group of uniformed officers who proceed to arrest him. Do you think excessive force was used in this arrest? Send your views to Ghana Police Watch Facebook page. We note that none of the people effecting the arrest are police officers, even though they are wearing uniforms similar to that worn by police officers. These men are actually city guards from Adenta Municipal Assembly. Are they mandated to make arrests and with such force? In a statement, Ghana Police Service condemns the excessive use of force, which contravenes laid-down procedures for making arrests. The number to call when you are in an emergency is 191, which is toll-free on all networks, and 18555 on MTN and Vodafone. Your call goes straight to the Emergency Command Center of the Ghana Police Service, which is the focus of our studio discussion. We are privileged to have in the studio Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Tenising Edu, Director General ICT, and Sergeant Joseph Zanu, who will bring us up to speed on the latest high-tech Emergency Command Center of the Ghana Police Service and discuss issues around police response to emergencies. What is the response time? Can you be easily located? Please send us your experiences. Before then, however, let's take another look at the internal workings of Ghana Police Service and the changes that are taking place. Accra, capital city of Ghana. One of its symbolic landmarks is a distinctive post-colonial building, the headquarters of Ghana Police Service, the organization constitutionally mandated through the Police Council and Police Management Board to combat crime and protect citizens at all times. Ghana Police Service is headed by Inspector General of Police, Mr. David Asante-Pietu, a forensic scientist, drugs and ballistic expert whose distinguished career in the service was brought into the limelight by the successful investigation under his leadership of the serial killings of women in Ghana during the late 1990s. Based on strategic objectives set by the government of Ghana, Ghana Police Service has launched a transformation program aimed at structural reform of every stratum of the service.
The Ghana Police Service has a very clear vision, that is to become a world-class police organization capable of delivering planned, democratic, protective and peaceful services up to the standards of international best practice. This is where we derive our impetus from. This also requires a new kind of policing, a new police officer.
There are significant factors that inform this.
We cannot downplay the role of the police service in this country, protecting our people and ensuring that we live in peace.
Within the democratic dispensation that we have opted for, key is the maintenance of law and order.
We spoke to one of Ghana's leading security advisors.
This country is going to double its population probably in the next 60 years. Added to that will be expanding unplanned urban spaces. Now that creates particular types of law enforcement, challenges. I think the Ghana Police Service is beginning to respond to some of these challenges.
Police emergency, how may I assist you?
It's when we live in peace that people can go about their duty respectably and also in comfort. It promotes the economy of our country and also promotes tourism.
Ghana is ranked the best place for doing business in West Africa and remains your gateway to accessing the ECOWAS market of over 350 million.
Security is one of the key selling features of attractiveness, or country attractiveness.
People will come into your country when they feel safe. If nobody feels safe, nobody is going to come into your country.
I can tell you right off the bat that for Ghana, one of our biggest selling points, first of all, is the political stability underpinned by a very peaceful, relatively peaceful community. A lot of people are very happy when they come to Ghana. They tell me that, I can walk around everywhere. You don't see crime like you see in other places. You don't see the risk as high as you see in other places. That in itself is a major attraction. Ghana has been seen as the beacon of stability and peace, and we don't take it for granted. It's a major selling point for both investors and for tourists, visitors, and everybody else. So that responsibility is very important. All of us are interested to ensure that it is, actually facilitated in the best possible way.
One of the key drivers for this new transformative vision is expansion of the internet, online business and e-commerce, and the application of new technologies by criminals.
It has become very necessary for us to manage crime with technology.
This necessitates a strategically different approach to tackling crime.
It becomes very, very important for us to transform the Ghana Police Service.
Revamping the Criminal Investigations Department, headed by Mrs. Mamiya Tiwa Adodankwa, is critical to giving a sharper focus to combating crime. Every police station in Ghana has a criminal investigations unit.
One of our core mandates is crime prevention, and we also gather information, process them into intelligence, and then feed the operations unit.
Currently, documentation at police stations is predominantly manual. This is about to change to electronic processing.
When somebody walks to the police station and makes a complaint, whatever that the person takes, you write your statement and then it is scanned and stored digitally. And in 3 months' time, you come back and you want to find out the status. Instead of going to pick a file and check the dates and other things, just by pressing a button, maybe with your date of birth or some unique identification, we're able to tell when the case was reported, where we have gone to, the status of investigation, and the way forward intended action. I can sit in my office and I can know the cases that have been reported at East Legon for the day, how each of them is being investigated, who is investigated what, and whether they are on the right direction.
E-policing. Currently, 21 police stations are being piloted. Criminal checks by manual fingerprinting is another area to be transformed by technology.
We just put your finger on the machine, take the fingerprint and run through the system. Within a minute, the report comes whether you have a record or you don't have a record. The transformation agenda is coming as a savior for those of us at the Criminal Investigation Department. It is good news for us, and we hope that it can help us to improve our service delivery to the good people of Ghana.
With the rise in cybercrime, the CID is also increasing its capacity to handle the increased complaints. This young lady was lured to an isolated location outside Accra, robbed and sexually molested. It's dusk. The police patrol car battles through Accra's traffic in response to another emergency. Significantly, this has been backed by improved intelligence. These are the police officers who risk their lives daily in the line of duty. A kidnapping is in progress. Police mobile unit is ready to respond.
Hello? Bravo 911.
Combat readiness is now backed by improved intelligence.
Drop it! Drop your weapons now!
Soon, the kidnapping is over and the culprits are in the arms of the law. Kumasi, capital of Ashanti region. In the past, crime rates have been soaring, but recently, the police response has been impressive.
Supervision too has been very, very good. We ensure that we supervise the men and then we brief them to be professional in whatever they are doing. That has been our success story.
The police has deployed motorcyclists, rapid mobile units and traffic spot checks to bring down the crime rates. Significantly, this has been backed by improved intelligence. Afrikiko Junction, Accra, Tema Motorway. Apollo in the Western region. The police is watching you. Over 1,000 of these cameras have been installed at strategic locations across the country. These cameras have made police surveillance more effective and giving a boost to fighting crime. Playbacks have also been very useful. In this particular case, investigation into a road accident.
Good morning, police emergency. How may I assist you?
These cameras are operated from emergency command centers in Accra, Kumasi, and Tamale that are now receiving a record number of calls.
When the call comes in, the system automatically generates a case form.
The case form is meant to solicit the essential information required from the caller. If it is a motor accident, are there any persons injured? If it is a robbery, are the robbers armed? And so on. All calls can be traced to where they are made. In case a call drops, the operator can call back. Once a call is processed, the information is sent to the dispatch section for patrol teams in the field. One challenge are prank calls that divert attention from real emergencies.
Prank calls must stop. In a genuine emergency, you may not be able to access our emergency command center.
Locating crime scenes promptly is another. Many houses and dwellings in Ghana are located on unnamed streets. This is being addressed by the new GPS address system, which is an integral part of the new emergency response system.
This command center is a milestone along the way of the transformational agenda that the Ghana Police Service has launched. The Ghana Police Service, as I speak to you, is about total number strength of 33,000. For the population of Ghana, the minimum strength should have been 56,000. At 33,000, the police to civilian ratio is 1:848, which is far lower than the UN minimum of 1:500. Therefore, the result to the digital intervention is meant to ameliorate or to mitigate the defect or deficiency or the deficit, which stands at 23,000 police personnel. This intervention, which is going to make it easier for the police to monitor crime and make it easier for people in need to get in touch, therefore making it more efficient for them to check crime, it's a welcome intervention.
All right, so you're welcome to another discussion segment here on Ghana Police Watch. And this evening we're talking technology. Joining me in the studio for this discussion is DCOP Tennyson Adu. He is the Director General in charge of ICT. And he's here with Sergeant Joseph Zanu. He's also with the department. I love technology, and I've been to your control room, your brand new high-tech control room where you can actually monitor the whole country. You have, 1,000 cameras all over the country. Tell us about the state of the infrastructure, all the things that you've added to it to make the police better equipped as far as technology is concerned.
What you saw in the control room is actually a call center and a dispatcher console. The call center receives calls from the general public. It could be calls that are meant to provide information to the police or calls that are emergency in nature. Dispatcher end actually deals with patrol teams on the ground. So when the calls are received, they are sent to the dispatcher and then they locate the patrol teams on the field and action is taken.
I know that you used to have a much smaller control room.
Yes. That was a challenge for a long time. We could have 30 callers at the time reaching the police. That was a serious challenge. What we have now is a very great improvement over the previous system. Right now, the system has been integrated with that of the Bureau of National Communications, and so we have as many calls as possible coming to the police.
All right, Sergeant Zanu, are you able to tell us how many calls can you take at a point in time?
Yeah, currently we are able to take as many calls as it comes. I also want to say that gone are the days we used to have all emergency calls being forwarded to the police control room here in Accra. We have done a decentralization of the police emergency call management, What it means is that we have zoned Ghana into 3. So we have Zone 1 in Accra, that is taking care of the coastal belt. Then we have Zone 2, that is in Kumasi, taking care of the central belt. Then we have Zone 3 in the northern region, that is in Tamale, taking care of the northern belt. Now, it also means that emergency calls from Volta region, from Central region, Western region, and Greater Accra region are being received at Zone 1, that is located at the police control room here in Accra. Then emergency calls from the Eastern region, from the Ashanti region, and Brongahafo region are being received at the emergency call center in Kumasi. Then the Zone 3 takes care of the 3 northern region, that is Northern region itself, Upper East, and Upper West.
All right. So to reach these call centers you're talking about, still the same number, 191, which is available, you can call from any network, and then 18555. So if you call any of these numbers, it goes to, depending on where you are, depending on which region you are, it goes to a particular command control center. So how many calls, for instance, do you receive in a day?
In a day, on the average, we receive about 4,000 calls.
If you get a call, let's walk through the process. What happens when the call comes through?
Yes, when the call hits our system, the call taker attends to that particular call, interacts with the caller, and then when it is done, he or she saves it. As soon as that is done, details are sent to the dispatcher for further action.
All right, so the call takers are in one room, you receive it, they process it, apparently there's a ticket, and then they pass it on to the dispatch room, and then what is a dispatch supposed to do?
Yeah, the dispatch manages police resources on the field, that is to say patrol teams on the field. So as and when a case is received, it depends on the area. So the patrol teams will be located on a map, that is by the dispatcher, then he or she is sent to the scene of crime.
Right, so the dispatchers, the patrol teams out there, you're talking about they being on the map, so the dispatcher can see real time where they're located?
Yes, that is what it means. You're able to see patrol teams from their various locations on the map.
All right, so they send them the information and then they move.
They move. They are always on the move as soon as they are called to go to a scene.
And helping you, assisting you to get to do this is also the various cameras that we have in the, at the various intersections. The cameras being there in the at the intersections where they are and they being monitored means that at any point in time, if you see something on the cameras, you can also dispatch.
Yes, because the camera actually shows real-time information. So as and when we see a particular incident, we report to the jurisdiction police to take action, or the nearest patrol team to go to the traffic intersection.
Which means that you're able to get to the location a lot faster or respond a lot faster than if you were going to wait for somebody to call.
Sometimes you realize that there will be an accident at a traffic intersection. It becomes a sort of a deep dispute or argument, but then with the help of our cameras, we are able to actually play back feed to actually ascertain the fact.
So you were telling me about these handsets that you're saying can actually video and send images back to the control room.
Yes, it is true. They can give you live feed of crime scenes. That is with the help of the handsets. We have quite a number of these handsets, but then we will need more to actually combat crime.
Ideally, what are you looking at, DCOP? As in, how do you want one policeman to one of these gadgets?
Yes, we want to get to the point where every police officer that goes out for duty will have a handset on him. Because once he's deployed for duty, he should be able to report on any incident that he comes across. And without the handset, there's nothing he can do. We cannot rely on cell phones and gadgets like that for this kind of emergency operations.
So this is your own private secure line. I mean, it is just for the police.
Yes, this is just for the police.
And how are we ensuring that the police officers are not abusing access to these cameras?
On every shift, we have a supervisor who is listening into conversations that we make with the public, and at the same time, looks at what views we are also looking at. I mean, the call takers are looking at. So there is no way they can do anything untoward.
Have you ever had to supervise them before?
Yes, actually, I'm the supervisor of the control room. Apart from being there physically to ensure that things go on well, we always play back what each individual does during his or her duty tour.
So at the end of the shift?
Yes, please. At the end of the shift, you need to go into the system and see what one agent does whilst on duty.
What type of calls do we get coming into the control room?
General information for the police. Emergency calls like fire outbreaks, collapsing buildings, and of course robberies and accidents, motor accidents.
Right, and these calls, that also includes some prank calls as well.
Most
I
often,
can imagine.
These calls happen to be genuine calls, but it's only calls to do with assault, calls to do with disturbances in localities, and sometimes even robberies.
Previously, how many calls were you getting coming into the... You say now you have about 4,000 calls a day. How many were you getting before?
Yeah, before we had this system in place, we were having about 1,000 calls from all over the country.
The entire country, 1,000 calls?
Yes.
But now you're having 4,000 for just...
4,000 for just the southern sector.
The southern sector.
Yes.
And I can imagine that after this program, when people get to know that they can actually call the emergency line, and knowing that the emergency line works, you're going to be getting a lot more calls.
Yes,
right?
We expect that.
The numbers, once again, 191 if you want to reach the police, 191 or 18555.
Yes.
Right. With this program, for instance, we're going to see a lot more people wanting to reach the police. What sort of advice are you giving them when they're calling? What should they be? What information should they be passing on?
I just want to send this warning out to the public that the prank call seems to be overwhelming. People call to prank on the police. Children call to insult the police. Adults even call to insult the police.
What happens to these prank callers?
Actually, now as we speak, we have mechanisms in place checking prank calls. We have a system that we are able to blacklist anybody who pranks on the police.
How many times does it take, or at what point would you say a caller, you blacklist a caller?
At least 5 times. 5 times. Then we are sure that you are aware of what you are doing.
But each time you tell the person, you would advise the person?
We advise the person. Sometimes we even call you to inform you that you should desist from pranking on the police.
If you're blacklisted, it means when you have a real emergency, you can't reach the police.
Yes, that is what it means.
So this is quite serious. I mean, those of you who would want to place prank calls to the police, you could be blacklisted. And when you're blacklisted, it gets really serious. So it's something you should desist from. Don't be calling to ask the police, we have vacations, so come and join us. People who call into the control room, how are they supposed to conduct themselves so that you can get the information that you need to assist them?
We expect them to be calm, very concise, and very much straight to the point.
What are the essential elements that you need? Location.
Yeah, location, the nature of the incident. I think these 2 important elements will help the police to locate the place.
Right now, as it is, we have the Ghana Post GPS. Is that helpful if they can tell you the GPS?
Yes, that will be helpful because this helps us to locate that individual. What it means is that if you call and you are not able to talk much, we will be able to get down to wherever you are.
Now, when people call, I can imagine after they've called you, they would want to call several other people to tell them about the situation in which they find themselves. Would you say that is advisable?
No, we expect callers to leave their phones free so that if the police wants to get back to them, they can easily get back to them in time. You realize that some callers will engage their phones trying to call relatives, as you just mentioned, but then police trying to get back to you becomes difficult. So the advice is that they should leave their phones free for the police to be able to get back to them.
And what is the response time if somebody calls you from the moment where you receive the caller and you dispatch and you send somebody to them, how long should it usually take?
10 minutes to 20 minutes time, we should reach out to you. Depends on the location anyway.
What more are we to expect as far as the transformative agenda is concerned in ICT?
One other project that may soon come on board is the automatic number plate recognition system.
And how does that work?
Now, once you are able to give us the registration number of the vehicle involved in the crime, and we input it into our system, we are able to track the vehicle as and when it gets to that camera location. Now, one beautiful thing about that system is that it's able to take a photo of the driver and the one sitting beside him.
Any other features of the number plate recognition system?
We can use that to track the movement of any vehicle that we are interested in. As long as the vehicle crosses any of the cameras, views of the cameras, the number plate will be recognized and we'll be able to determine from what point the vehicle has moved to which other point.
Which then makes it very important that you out there, by, if you're having to board a taxi for your auntie or your grandmother or your sister or your girlfriend or your husband, you should be able to take at least the registration number. You can just take a shot of it.
Yes.
And then should it happen that it becomes necessary for you to pull it out or make it available to the police, you can refer to that as well. Sounds like a really impressive system, and we can't wait to have it available for us to get to use and for you to use to fight crime.
Yes, yes.
So the IGP, when I interviewed him, he talked about how people in the future, it's going to be possible for people to integrate their cameras into your system. Tell us about how that works.
The police cannot be everywhere at every time. And so we encourage the public, those who can afford to have cameras installed in their own premises, and then possibly integrate it with the system we are operating, so that when it becomes necessary for us to investigate any crime, we can just play back.
So obviously there's a lot happening in the Ghana Police Service as far as ICT is concerned. What would be your message to the public?
The ICT Directorate is well positioned to support the ongoing transformation agenda. We've had a very successful e-recruitment exercise. We've launched the e-policing project very successfully. We have established the Emergency Command Center, working very efficiently. And we assure the public that there are so many beautiful things that are coming our way. So they should just have confidence in the police who will deliver.
So thank you very much, DCOP Tennyson Edu, the Director General in charge of ICT at the Ghana Police Service. And thank you to Sergeant Joseph Zanu, also with the department. You've shared a lot of insight with us, and clearly we know that the police is doing so much. They're talking about the cameras. They may not be everywhere, but they have the cameras in places which is supporting them to better fight crime in our society. Let's get the latest from Police Update.
The rise in the number of robberies in the early part of this year, after a very serene and peaceful Christmas celebrations, has been attributed partly to a sharp change in the strategy of criminals, many of whom are now using unregistered motorbikes for their criminal activities. Unfortunately for these criminals, the government has resolved to retool the police to give it the needed capacity and capabilities to enhance internal security. Inspector General of Police, Mr. David Asantia Pietu, has announced at the launch of Ghana Police Watch in Accra that a selection of officers are undergoing high-risk motorbike-related crime prevention training at the Police Public Safety Training School in Pualugu. Fully armed police officers on robust motorbikes will deal ruthlessly with any criminal who tries to use a motorbike for their nebulous activities. The Inspector General of Police reassured the public that the police are not against the use of motorbikes as a means of transport, but it will not sit and watch a few misfits in our society to hold the millions of decent and law-abiding citizens to ransom. Please be reminded that all motorcycle riders must have a DVLA license which must be a Category A license before you hit the road. You must also have a roadworthy and insurance certificate and obey traffic laws. At the traffic lights, red means stop and green means go. The police would also like to remind the public that there is a ban on use of motorcycles as a means of transport, popularly known as Okada. Still on the traffic, what do you do as a driver when you hear the siren?
Respect the siren. When the siren sounds, know that someone's life is in danger and must be saved. Property is on fire and must be secured. A crime must be stopped. The president is coming. Give way. When you hear the siren, pull safely to a stop immediately at the shoulder of the road and stay clear. Look out for the direction from which it is coming. Do not join the convoy or follow immediately. Look carefully. Allow reasonable distance between you and the siren, then pull safely back onto the road and continue your journey. Respect the siren and prevent accidents.
And now, here are some home security tips to ensure that you protect yourself from robberies. When answering doorbells, do not open doors without knowing who is behind the door. You can peep through a window or peephole if in doubt. Never keep huge sums of money, jewelry, and other important documents at home. Send them to the bank for safekeeping. Know your neighbors and develop a rapport with them. Tell your roommates or spouse where you are going and when you will return.
Good morning, police emergency. How may I assist you?
Always contact the police for assistance. Police emergency lines are 191 toll-free for all networks and 18555 on MTN and Vodafone.
Thank you very much for watching Ghana Police Watch. Make a date same time next week.